Good evening, everyone. Welcome along. Tuesday night, 8 p.m, the Online Darts Live Round returns. That sounds a strange thing to say, but because of the European Tour, new day just for the week now, and we are joined by the one and only Mr. Alex Spellman is here, and Mr. Dan Simpson, and Mr. Giles Beaton will be back in a minute. He's just gone to do something, but he is here. Dan, how are we doing, my friend?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all good. It's been a busy day, as you like. And we were talking just briefly before I come on. So I'm sailing away. I should have been on holiday. I was supposed to be flying to Dubai today with Anna and the kids. That's not quite come off for obvious reasons. But I've been busy. I'm still taking my 2 weeks off work, so I'm off work at the minute. So which is nice. I've been renovating the house. That's been going well. So I did some of the hard work today. The house is a complete disaster. It's a building site, but I've painted some ceilings and done a lot of work. I mean, and it's a Monday night, so it's Tuesday night, special occasion. I'm off work. I'll treat myself to a few Belgian beers while we're on the show tonight. Oh, he's joining us. He's finished in the boys' room.
And of course, Mr. Spellman here in the studio. Okay, glad you can join us, mate. Yeah. Like a little studio here.
Yeah, I know you've been trying to invite me over for a little while, and I've been trying to avoid it. But now that I'm in town and I'm 30 minutes away, I couldn't get out of it this time.
Yeah, no, it's all good. Jar, how are we doing now? Do you all right?
Yeah, back to normal. We've got cricket stuff to record. It's been Cam and I have been busy doing stuff. We've also been looking at bets for the Masters. Yeah, no, it's good. Sorry I wasn't here last week, everybody. Do we still use the I was playing my trains? Is that still the thing that we do on this show?
Scare electrics now. We've gone up in the world.
Have we? Okay, but yes, it's good to be back. Yes, I was last weekend looking at lots of swimmers. That's how my weekend was last weekend. It was great fun at the London Aquatic Centre. Thank you very, very much indeed to the guys at Alan Mark Sport for asking me to do it, and the team there as well, who was class. But now we get to talk some darts. I mean, nothing's happened this weekend.
It's been a quiet week, but you can tell Giles getting down with the kids now. We see him on the old tickety TikTok now as well, posting his.
It's where the views are, mate. It's where the views are. That's what we have to do. So,
we'll give it a month. We'll get down on TikTok.
Mate. We've been. Do you know what? Because I have undertook this renovation myself, it was the first time. Like, you know me, I'm such an anti all sorts of social media, but especially TikTok. I think it's a nonsense. I was so close to tempted to doing some sort of time-lapse video diary of renovating half the house, and bottled it in the end, because again, I like to. I enjoy holding the moral high ground more than I enjoy any potential fun that could be had.
You will not be tested. You've been told. You've said on multiple times.
I will not be tested.
Are you on the old TikTok yet?
I only go on TikTok to see who's talking. I don't know if I can say bad words on here.
You can.
Well, because we were talking about earlier, I genuinely, every time I lose, look, a lot of players don't like getting hate mail and all that stuff, but it's like the one thing that makes me feel better about losing is to see who can come up with the most creative ways to tell me that I'm shit.
That's how you ruined their day. Who's lost the most on their bet that day?
Yes.
For a lot of people don't know, and I don't know if he's watching right now, but the very first time I ever played on Modus, and I don't need to go into the deep story, but I got some hate mail. Responded to everybody with just like, I appreciate you, and a kissy face. And only one person kept replying back. And because I was he's like, oh my God, you're terrible. And I was like, I know, I was there. I saw every dart. But the next day, he's like, I'm so sorry. I was just having a laugh last night. And, it turned into, he bought my darts, and he became one of my biggest fans. And when I had an extra ticket, when I played at Worlds, since he lives in, Birmingham, I invited him over. So, it started by him sending me some hate mail, and next thing you know, he got to come to Worlds.
Just to be clear, that wasn't me. Just to be massively clear. Just to make it abundantly clear, That was otherwise tonight's show would have been even more awkward than it would be that I wasn't here last week.
That's your. He uses the same approach chatting up women as well. He starts just like going in with something really offensive, like that's dreadful. What are you wearing? Like, oh, it's terrible. You look terrible. And then just breaks them down.
Yeah.
That hasn't, as you know, Dan, that hasn't worked for me recently. That has not worked for me.
The chat room is rammed. Dale is in. Anthony is in. How we doing? Kay, Malachi, Kieran, Shelty, how we doing? Marcus, Warren, Kelly, how we doing? WrestleMania is in. Phil, how we doing? Good to have you all in. Look, it's been a mental week in the world of darts. Should we just do it? Should we just go straight there?
Kind of have to, really. That's the whole premise of this show, isn't it?
Yeah, we are
Manchester.
We're supposed to. I mean,
beef in Manchester.
It's not. It's the worst venue in darts. Something always goes wrong. Something always goes
Move
wrong.
It.
If it's not on the stage, it's in the crowd. If it's not in the crowd, it's in the toilet. If it's not in the toilet, it's in the train station. It's just crap. That's the first we have to get out of the way. Is it has to move. It can never be there again. But we got some shenanigans. Shenanigans are always good.
Look, shenanigans are good, and look, I've seen a lot of shit online that people saying Littler's out of order, this, that, and the other. I loved every minute of it. I'm not gonna lie. As Pam said in Gavin and Stacey, I love the drama, Mick.
It's all the drama, Mick. I just love it. I just love it.
No, look, it's one of those. Look, if Ian doesn't turn around, he doesn't know. It's like when you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar as a kid.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
But I think so. There's of course there's an awful lot of people moaning and criticising and whinging online now. Again, these are there's a number of things. There's first of all, there are people that just, and we know this, they whinge and moan at whatever Luke Littler does. Right, good, bad, or indifferent. Like they moan if he's winning too often. They moan if he's not winning. They moan if he refuses to give an interview. They moan about what he says when he does give it. Like there's certain people that are just going to always give him shit no matter what happens. And then the other thing that I would suggest is we talked and we continue to talk all the time about why people are selected for the Premier League and what people want out of it. Let's be brutally honest. Danny Noppert should have been in the Premier League. He wasn't in the Premier League because he's not interested enough to what, he's not giving it enough. He's not shouting, celebrating, jumping, making crying faces behind other people's back. Right? He's not. And people stand that up and say, well, that's why, as well as he played, Danny Noppert didn't get there. So then you can't, this is what it is. You can't moan about it. It is delivering. It is delivering exactly what it is supposed to, the Premier League. It is supposed to be 8 of the most entertaining players at the top end of the game. And that is what we're seeing. We're good, bad, or indifferent. People are watching. And more people will tune in next week because of what happened this week. There are people that, because it goes online and it gets shared around. So yeah, it's doing what it should do. And if you don't like the Premier League, and some people don't watch it, but it pays for a lot of other stuff. The millions and millions of pounds it makes on that travelling circus, that props up a large part of that tour.
What has Barry always said though? No, but bad publicity is good publicity, isn't it? It's as simple as that.
Controversy
creates cash. Absolutely, controversy creates cash. There's a way to make a pound note, and if Barry Pern can find a way to make a pound note, he will make a pound note. Listen, do I think that it was out of order? No, I don't really. I just thought it was a player that was happy that he got a second chance after missing another dart, and if anything, he got himself 2 G'd up, I think. Because those 3 darts at 777, they were thrown that hard. I thought the board was going to break. And I'm sure we will talk about the Winbow X board after this weekend. But I just thought he was a bloke trying to G himself up. Gian obviously took it the wrong way, and he's allowed to, and then, but what I don't think helped the situation was literally then giving it the full, get on with it, and all the rest of it. That then sort of inflamed the situation. If he doesn't do that, I don't think there's an issue there. And yeah, just move on. There's been so much worse in the sport, and there's nothing worse than darts becoming boring, right? We need stuff like this. It's as simple as that.
So, Alex, you play on stages of all different sizes, and you've played on the biggest of them all. If you are in Van Veen's shoes, for example, and you catch that as you turn around, is it as a player, is it something that you would be really sort of offended or upset by? Is it something you would maybe take in the spirit of the game, or how would you react to it?
So I guess there's two ways to it, because personally, I would you could take it one. Well, okay, yeah, you could take it one of two ways. You can either see it as someone celebrating you're missing. That means that maybe you've got them rattled, or maybe you've got them worried about something. I'm not someone that celebrates a big shot. I would hit a 9-darter and it's going to be the most boring reaction ever, because I did exactly what I'm expecting to do. That's you've seen that on the floor when you've seen MVG hit a 9 and he just grabs his darts and he moves along. It's not that big a deal. But when someone gives it a big one, a lot of people don't like that. But the way I see it is, oh, you must not do that very often, Whereas you hit a 180, you yell, I hit a 180, and I walk up like I would like I should have scored more than that. It's whatever. So in that situation, it's you might feel a little irked because it's a deciding leg. That you just missed. You're annoyed at yourself, and then you see that. So that probably played into it a little bit. He doesn't have the luxury of seeing it from the views that we have, where Littler wasn't even really paying attention to what was going on the board. I don't know. I don't see the big deal behind it. I get why people don't like it. I would never do it, which is why I don't like. I don't want to say I don't like it. I would never do that on either side. I wouldn't celebrate. If you see me behind a player that just missed a double, you'll see like this. But that's more like I'm not celebrating it. It's more like a come on. This is your chance.
Yeah, and that's you, isn't it? That's not. Yeah. They don't have to be there. You can be
practicing
nothing to do with
at home. I did it today at Modus. It's okay. Someone misses, and you're just like, come on. I'm not celebrating the miss. You're just
of course not. Yeah.
Take advantage.
But the thing is, as well, is that like Dan has rightly pointed out, unfortunately, there unfortunately are the Luke Littler knobheads who will just absolutely hammer him for anything that he does because they're bored of him. 2 years ago, they wouldn't have given a shit because he was fresh. He was new. He was this new, exciting young thing. And this comes back to a wider point that we have made on this show for the best part of 2 years. The British public in particular want to see someone win, but they want to see them fall down, right? And if there's a chance to knock them down and there's a chance to completely try and take them, everybody will do it because we don't like winners. We just don't. It's as simple and as plain as that. So
this isn't the first time we've seen them criticized for that, though, right? So this isn't anything new. And if you talk to most players, look, at Modus a couple of years ago when he'd lose a match, he was not taking it well on the back room. So it's not exactly news to people that have been around.
And also, as well, as I keep coming back to, as the old adage goes, I can't remember exactly who said it. It might have been Michael Schumacher, I think, or someone like that. But show me a good loser and I'll show you a loser. Right? But that's my point. At the end of the day, if you are going to but Alex, you win more games than you lose, to be fair, especially over in the CDC. You're doing unbelievable jobs. But my point is that at the elite level sport, if you have to be you have to be pissed off at the fact that you lose. Otherwise, for you, it's not a job. Does that make sense? That's my anyway.
I do think there's a difference, though, taking it out on your opponent versus taking it out on yourself. If you lose, it's your fault.
Yeah.
If you win, it's your. So when I say I'm a good loser, it's if I play well, I'm fine with losing. I told John Part years ago, I'd rather play well and lose than play poorly and win, just because that's just what makes me feel that. Me playing well is if I felt well. So if I lose shooting 100 average, obviously averages don't win, but I felt like I did my job. You just played better. But so maybe that's not me because trust me, I'm not very happy with a loss, but I'm not, giving it to my opponent.
No, I get that. And like I say, like you don't have to be like all cushy and like, oh, really, oh, so happy for you, mate, like hugging and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You could be pissed off in any way you want. The fact that you lose a darts match, that's fine. My point is that like if you've got someone coming out going, oh, you know, this was this, it's not a big deal, blah blah blah. Then there's that mentality where I don't think that it's like coming back to Masters week. I look at Rosie last year when he lost to McIlroy in the playoff, right? Rosie was class personified. He was class personified when he lost to Rory. But there was a part of me that was like going, be more pissed off at the fact you lost in a playoff. Just because he's won the Grand Slam doesn't mean that you can't be absolutely raging at the fact that you lost the second playoff in a row. You are allowed to be. And there's a point of me going like, will he ever win another one? And that's what I've always had that argument. Phil, Dan will always hopefully back me up on this anyway.
I think one of the interesting points you make, Jack, and there's to try and just expand on it a bit, is there's clearly a lot of people are questioning like his mindset, like where he's at, and I think, well, it's very, very difficult because what we are talking here, like there are less than a handful of sportsmen, not dart players, like there are less than a handful of sportsmen that have, under the age of 20 dominated a sport in the way that he has. Like and you look through every, you go, well, championship, match play, Grand Prix, UK Open, Grand Slam, Premier League, like it's absolute madness at the age that he's at. And I think it's very, very difficult to then start to pick apart and challenge the mindset that's got somebody there, because there is like this sort of, and I think there always is going to be, when you look at Christ, we got, Tiger Woods is in that conversation, isn't he, of someone who dominated that sport, challenging mindset perhaps as time's gone on, he's and I think it's very difficult, isn't it, like to really overanalyze the mental strength and the place you've got to get yourself into in order to not just win the things that he's won, because there is far more to achieving what he's achieved than being able to throw the darts in the right segment of the board. There are loads of people that can throw the darts in the right segment of the board, and you can go to any local county competition and see lads that can put darts in the right segment of the board. It becomes exponentially more challenging when you are in, arenas, when you're playing other people, when you are essentially a child playing against grown men who are playing to pay their mortgage, and like the things that he's had to mentally get through in the last couple of years are like, it's not like anybody else. So you have to expect that he's not going to be perfectly balanced all the time. He wouldn't be human.
Well, if you look at it, right, the most talked about game in darts history, still to this day, you've only got to look at the numbers on YouTube and so on, is Gerwyn Price against Gary Anderson.
Oh,
and we're not talking about it for Gerwyn Price winning the Grand Slam. We're talking about for what went on last year. Gerwyn Price and Darryl Gurney at the World Match Play. People were still talking about that on the Thursday when it happened on the Monday. We're still talking about this on the Tuesday when it happened on the Thursday. It is good for the sport. It creates the narrative, the storyline, which drives people to want to watch again this week.
Also, just one thing, Alex, before I'll let you jump in a second. Just one thing. I, for one, really enjoyed looking at Luke Littler's Instagram on Thursday night in multiple ways. Thanks, Luke. Thank you for that. Cheers, Chief. Sorry, Alex, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, everybody's going to be eyes on the next time that they match up just to see what happens.
Are we going to clip that bit as well? Did everyone hear that, Mr. Spellman? I'm not wrong. We'll clip that bit up.
Don't say that to him, Alex.
I didn't technically say he's right. I just said he's not wrong.
Better.
Can we just take a moment to give a little shout out on while we're on this subject? I think you've seen it, Phil.
I have.
But I've just seen one of the greatest photographs that I've ever seen in my life. So the young chap that we've been discussing, young Mr. Littler, his family are all there's a family holiday going on at the minute, and they're all in Spain. And there is a venue in that area that is actually called the Live Lounge.
There is.
Dan, you carry on talking, and I'm going to do this.
And they are currently in the Live Lounge, watching the Live Lounge. So a big shout out to the Littler family et al. And all of their friends who appear to all be in masks of me and Philip, which is quite spectacular. It's one of the best things I've ever seen in my life.
It's fine, by the way. I'm fine. Who else is fine? Everything's
okay,
fine. Yeah. I'll just sit here and just be like, yeah, third wheel. Do you know what?
Also,
Do you know what, Dan? I've just thought about this. Third wheeling. Story of my life now, isn't it? Story of my life now.
Certainly is, mate. You know, you can write a book one day. I genuinely, I've now picked out that, you know, I've got my favourites amongst that crew, because some are wearing Dan Simpson masks and some are wearing Phil Barr's masks. Thankfully, pleased to see that both of Luke's parents are in the Dan Simpson version. Very good to see.
There you go.
One of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, by the way. Amazing.
Yeah, Jar, you can't feel too left out though, because none of us have got this.
Going in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, Jolliffe. Thanks for being in the Barney Army.
We haven't got one of them.
Somewhere in Holland, Raymond van Barneveld is just sat in a room on his own with a large whiskey, watching this show in a Jarlath Eaton mask on his own.
Alice has got no idea.
With a wall cut out the middle so he can have a cig.
I love the fact that Alice has got no idea what's going on here. What is all this?
Yeah.
What is happening here? This can't carry on, can it? It can.
It can.
We've done at least 5 minutes of talking about darts, and we're 25 minutes in, so we're doing all right.
Look,
Yeah.
On the Premier League, let's talk about the darts. Right now, how fucking good is Gerwyn Price, by the way? Absolutely incredible. I think he's playing better now than when he won the world title.
Disagree. Massively disagree.
I think he is.
I think I might have to agree, you know. Like, we've said...
just because you two have got the masks on, don't mean that... Don't try and agree with him now. Absolutely. Don't do the 6-7 either, you wanker. No. Carry on. I'll let you go.
Because... So, and I have been... I think where me and Phil have probably clashed quite a bit on this one, for Gezi Price for some time, is Phil, I think, for a while has been on the, like, he's back, he's there, it's coming. And I have for quite some time said, I'm not convinced yet. Maybe Neely, maybe not yet. And I think for the last sort of probably year to 18 months, when Phil's been telling us he's back, there's been a lot of semi-finals. And again, for anyone else in the world making that amount of semi-finals, like, amazing. And you'd think this is they're at their peak. But for Gezi Price, I almost feel like making semi-finals on the telly regularly isn't enough. I don't think it's enough for him. He needs to be winning things. He needs to be getting into finals. And I've not been convinced until very recently that Gezi is pretty much there. I think he's as good as we've ever seen him. I think he's back to his best. He looked amazing this week in Manchester. Like the game against Bunting again. Like, I think Stephen Bunting is like, he's up against it really here, because he hasn't stunk out, the Premier League. And I know he's won a night. He got off to a rocky start. He's still second bottom, but like, you have got to be disappointed. I mean, Alex, you mentioned earlier on about you've played well and someone else has played better. But when if you tip up and you average just shy of 107 and you get bashed up 6-2, you must just walk off and think, oh, what have I got to do? Like these lads.
There are limits there. I mean, like I said, if I play really well and you just play better, that's fine. But if I play out of my mind and it's still not enough, that's different.
It's frustrating.
Have you played Gessie before?
No. I felt like I did, though. I was actually just talking about, maybe not quite related, but I played Daniel Close at Q School a couple years ago. I think he won the 2 rounds before me with a 75, shot a really poor 109-ish against me. And I say poor because he missed about 8 doubles in that match and still averaged 109 and then lost the next round with a 75. So it's not quite the same. And I played well, and I was just like, whatever. But then when they go do that the next round, it does certainly sting. So yes, it is situational at times.
Would you like Gessie MSG this year?
I don't know that I'm particularly fond of anyone the way that I've been playing lately. But honestly, I every time I've played somebody, so every time I played something big, I played Ryan Joyce. I know he's not one of those names, but he had just made a finals of the Players Championship. Obviously, the Grand Slam. If I'm going to be terrible, that's the exact kind of group I want to play through because it's still a good experience with Aspinall and Smith. And Smith is the player that I always wanted to play because I was a little bit slower, more methodical, and those are the players that I always played really well against. That didn't go well this last time. But then I've had Humphreys twice now, so it's about time I try somebody else. So yeah, I'll take Gerwyn Price.
Just as a side note, Bookers, don't worry, mate. I was only messing. You know we love you. Don't worry about that. Yeah.
Anthony, don't worry about him. He's got a Barney jingle. We haven't got one of those. We've got masks. He's got a jingle.
But going back to the question at hand, whether Gessie was playing better now or whether he's playing better when he won it. I was just looking through his year. Appreciate COVID. Yes, I get it. Semi-final of the Worlds 2020. Quarter-final of the World Masters. Final of the UK Open. Final of the Europe. Semi-final of the Players' Championship Finals. Won the World Grand Prix and then went on to win the Worlds. Now, you look down his year so far, if we take the last 5 TV tournaments, Grand Slam, semi-final, Players' Championship, semi-final, second round loss at the Worlds, semi-final loss at the World Masters, semi-final loss at the UK Open. That's great, but he still hasn't won a televised ranking title in nearly 5 years, my friend.
Yeah, but
he still hasn't won it since 2021.
I think his game is better now than what I get your point that he hasn't won a big one, but I think his game is better now than what it was back then.
I do. I'm not saying it's not close, but I still think that in 2020, Gerwyn Price was the best player on Planet Darts, and quite rightly deserved to win the World Championship at the end of it. And I know he doesn't count it because it's a COVID one, and I get that. But now, I still think that he played better during that time than he's playing right now. But it's not. I'm not saying it's not far away. I'm not saying that the biggest issue for Price is that he I don't know what it is, but he has the mental block against Wonderboy, right? 13 of the previous 14 now he's lost against him. He had a chance to beat him in Dublin 6-0, and he lost the game 6-5. He had a chance to play him in the UK final, couldn't do it. Got up against a great performance by James Wade. Can't deny that. But again, in the Premier League, at the moment, the only chance, what have we said all year? The only time you're going to get a shot. But it's not even that, though. It's the fact that the only chance you're going to get at Luke Littler at the moment is in an 11-leg game, right? If you can't get over the line against him in an 11-leg game when you're 5-0 up against him, what chance have you got in a potential world match play final over a best of 37 legs? 35 legs. You ain't got a hope in hell's chance at the moment. Something has to happen, right? But big point here. Rob Cross couldn't get over the line against Michael van Gerwen on multiple occasions in 2017 on the European Tour. 2018, the biggest match of his life, I'd say at that point in time, he went and got him and beat him in the big one of the matches at Ali Pali on New Year's Day. So it can happen, but
Yeah.
Right now, it can. But right now, that's Price's issue. It's the fact that he has got to somehow find a way to get over the mental block. Like we said about Clayton with Price at the start of the Premier League. It had been 10 straight, 11 straight, and we said that he had to win those games. If he didn't win that, there's no way he'd be second in the league right now. Absolutely no chance, because it would have been playing on his mind. And that's what's happening with Price at the moment. So that's why I am still saying that Price, that version of Price in 2020 is just better. But I'm not saying it's by much.
How we doing? Will is in. He says, "Oh no, not that guy." And of course, and today is in as well. Look, Alex. Obviously, you're here playing in Modus at the moment. It's been an interesting time for you and a difficult time as well, because stuff going on that's perhaps stopping your progression. I'm not sure how much you want to progress, but the DRA not allowing you to take certain medication while playing is a bit of a stopper here for you.
A little bit. So I don't need to go all into it. If people are that interested, I've got stuff all over my Facebook page. I even did an entire read through of a psychological testing and stuff like that. Just one so people can understand like what's going on with me, what I'm trying to do, and then also, I don't know, maybe they're going through the same kind of thing. So I'm a weird guy. So like when I play, you don't see a lot of emotion from me. You'll see frustration, but there's no emotion behind that either. But I hit a big shot, there's nothing there, because day to day, I don't feel happy, sad, whatever. I know I'm chubby. I never feel hungry. I never feel thirsty, but that also means I don't feel hungry. I don't feel full either. So I can just keep going. And it's delicious. Imagine eating your favorite foods and you never get full. It's crazy. But I can keep going on and on and on. And it wasn't until later in life. So I worked at Epic Games. Everyone gets it wrong. I wasn't a developer at Fortnite and Epic Games. I did IT work. Yes, I did some coding and stuff, but not like specifically on the game. But it was like dream job for us. Ended up having to leave, but that was it's different than just your typical job. Like we actually had a person end his life over when he got let go. Like there was big layoffs and stuff. So it was a big deal. But that was like that moment where I thought I was going to be there for the rest of my life, and then suddenly you're not, and it was troubling. So then back home, I'm not like smoking weed or anything like that, but we have CBD, but then we have like Delta 8, Delta 9. It's got little traces of, but I was taking that to help sleep, help anxiety, stuff like that. Well, I didn't know that it could pop positive for tests. So I go to my doctor, get prescribed certain medications. Oh my God, it works like a dream. I mentioned that I'm coming here to play darts. And she's like, oh, well, make sure you get this, tested and approved, because I think it's banned in a lot of stuff. Sure enough, it was. And me being the upstanding guy I am, I went straight to the police. And by police, I mean DRA, and said, hey, guys, I'm coming to Challenge Tour this weekend. And if you test me for anything, I'm going to have this and this and this and this in my system, just so you know. They were fine with it. They just said, obviously, stop. We'll form the TUE. And 2 years later, I've gone through 4 psychological tests to appease the DRA. That's more or less, okay. The PDPA guy they had me go through thinks that I have PTSD from childhood stuff and ADHD. And then the guy I actually sat down and did like a in-person test with thinks that I'm autistic and have generalized anxiety disorder. And I told Phil, they might not agree on a diagnosis, but they agree that I'm fucked up, is basically what they're.
In my world.
So,
we should get that on a t-shirt.
But going through a lot of that, so my biggest issue is because I don't feel things day to day. So for me, stress, I don't feel it until it's too much. For you guys, you're standing in the middle of the road, you see a car coming, and you can react to that. You can get out of the way, whatever. For me, it's like me looking both ways, and I was like, all right, the road's clear. And then I step out in the middle of the road and just get smacked by a car. So, and when that happens, my blood pressure, like if you guys have heard of like vasovagal syncope, so it's like blood draw. So that's basically what happens to me. I don't notice I'm having a panic attack until it's already too much. My blood pressure drops and then I'm out. But it's not a dart related. It's not dart specific. It happens more often in darts because, well, I'm in more high stress situations. But I've been at the doctor's office and stressed out and passed out there. But the difference between whether I'm going to pursue professional level darts, because I can still take my medication, I just can't take it when I'm playing. Okay, but if I take it on a Tuesday, but then I got to play on a Thursday, I don't really know how long it stays in my system. And now I'm balancing that, which only causes the anxiety to kind of, whatever. So it sucks because I want to keep playing, even if only because I have an ability that seems like a waste if I don't pursue it. But at the same time, I have to do what's right for me in a health sense. Like if I pass out, I'm fine. I wake up and it's like, oh God, this again. Like I'm annoyed. I'm not scared or worried. But I've had my wife wake up, or what? I've had my wife wake up. I've woken up with my wife standing over me on the phone with 911 because she doesn't know if I just died or just what. She's freaking out. So so now, okay, you have to throw that in there. But then, okay, if I get my tour card, I have to fly here twice a month for the next 2 years. But then I also have to balance medication, and I don't want to get, of course, the sober guy at darts that I don't even drink away from darts. Of course, I'm just convinced I'm going to be the one that get smacked with a, what's that?
I was just going to say, darts players don't drink, Alex. That's what we've always been told.
Look, and here's the thing. Part of the reason I've been so open with this process is because I do a lot of coaching back home. They know that these medications are banned. Like so ADHD med. I'm not on that, but what is it? Adderall is banned. So half the people, okay, I'm going to say half the people, but there's a huge chunk of people that's played in the Virginia Beach Classic last weekend that are probably on that medication, and they don't got TUEs, or they just happen to have random drug testing. A bunch of them are getting suspended. It wasn't personal, and the DRA and I had some cordial back and forth, but my thing to them was that they are denying it because it might give me an advantage. My argument to that is, if they've seen me play the last 2 years, I'm choosing the wrong drug to help my play if that's what I'm trying to do. But because it could potentially provide an advantage, they're not going to approve it. And this is after now 4 psychologists all said, no, this is right. This is what he needs. My rebuttal to them was, I get it. You guys are worried about the integrity of the game. I am too. Like, I don't even like playing board games if we're not following the rules. What's even the point? But my argument was, you're worried it might give me an advantage. Meanwhile, we have zero issues with, say, like alcohol in the game. I get it. A lot of players have come back at me saying, yeah, but if I drink too little or if I drink too much, like, just because it's harder to dose doesn't mean it doesn't do the same damn thing. And I even pointed out, if you're worried about the integrity of the game, not only do you let us drink, but you drink to the point where, and I don't mean, because obviously it was a serious situation for him, but you let us drink to the point where we're assaulting tables during the largest event of the year, televised, and it's very public. And then we want to talk about mental health stuff. Meanwhile, I've been jumping through hoops for 2 years, and it's now I have to choose between potential mental health and playing the game. So as of right now, I've kind of put out there that I have zero interest in ever pursuing this side of the game. I'll still play back home, but I'm more interested in moving on to the coaching and more administrative side. And it sucks because I have a talent and I want to develop it, but I don't feel comfortable doing it.
Well, that is first of all, like, thank you, Alex, for sharing.
Thank you.
Like, it's
absolutely.
It's very much you are incredibly open, and I think it's really important that somebody, because it's like everything, if one person has this issue, there'll be 10 other people, and those 10 people just aren't talking about it. So the fact that somebody is prepared to talk about it is massive. And I think the two takeaways that I have, which and I suppose they're both a frustration, is one is that, like, there is, and we hear it talked about a lot, that there have been people, and we know of several really, really serious, not on the stage, like where everybody can see, but we've seen serious issues with people's mental health. People have been in a real crisis. They've had to get various forms of intervention. They've had to have people, they've gone for counseling, all sorts of things. But then the idea that somebody can be, we encourage everybody to, talk openly and seek help. If you are, and that is the narrative that we push everybody towards. talk openly, seek help, speak to people, and everything will be better. But then if you're a professional sportsman and you talk openly and you seek help and your doctor says to you, well, I think you've got this condition, I think you've got this, and I think you've got that, you're going to have to take this medication. Like, the idea that could then prohibit them carrying on with their job, their employment, is completely absurd, like completely absurd. And I think that there's also, and I don't know how it, like, so this is a real amateur view, but like I've got a house full of kids with varying different conditions, and you know, several of there's a lot of medication gets taken in my house, and over the years there's a lot of medication.
But that's only because they've got to deal with you.
That's me coping. Yeah, that's me coping with the Tourette's and everything else. But but I know obviously there's different categories of medication, and you know, especially you've got, you know, stimulants and non-stimulants. You've got something that comes into your system that's like taking a paracetamol or a painkiller. You know, it goes in, it has its effect, and then it's through you in no time. And then like the non-stimulants, you've got to, like, you know, you've got to, which tends to be a lot of the sort of like the antidepressants, where you've got to stack them up over time for them to start to have an effect, and you carry that in your system. Is there anything, or like any conversations that are being had anywhere about these different types, you know, the different categories of medication, and whether or not they're likely to show up because they are something that's stacked up over time, or that it's a one hit, because, or is it just it's on the list, so computer says no?
So I mean, I can't, I don't know, but like when we go through the training, so like when you go to the CDC, you go through the anti-gambling, anti-drug, you know, whatever, and they always say, like, it's not that we're out to, and I believe them when they say we're not out to get you, we're trying to protect you, like, because if somebody's taking medication that they're not prescribed and it could be hazardous to their health, then obviously we wouldn't want that to happen. But if it's prescribed, and like I said, my hope was that, okay, I went through all the hoops, I went to this person, that person, okay, I could see where this is still maybe not specific enough. So then, like I said, the day before I played Worlds, I was sitting for 3 hours or 2 hours doing a test to you know, appease.
Great preparation, that, isn't it? Brilliant preparation.
The thing, I mean, it's a struggle for other players too to even want to say something. Like they're not in the PDC anymore, but I knew players that were taking medication because they were too scared to file for a TUE because they didn't want to have a target on their back. And I had a PDPA agent tell me, or not an agent, but I had someone who's part of the PDPA tell me that maybe the first step wasn't to go to the DRA and say, hey guys, I'm doing this. Because it could potentially put. I'm not actually worried
system
about that.
then, though. That, so no, that. But if the encouragement, and I know, God, here I am again, probably getting in trouble for pointing fingers where I shouldn't. But you know, if there's some encouragement to not do things, like I'm like you know, I work in an environment where, like, my day job, everything is got, you know, it's just as straight and by the book. Everything has got to be absolutely bang on. If it means you've got to put your hand up and say, sorry, you know, it always. But the idea that there's a narrative anywhere where not being open and honest and upfront isn't the absolute best thing to do, especially when what we're supposed to be, we should be pushing, is a culture where people can talk openly and share and discuss and seek help.
But then, and then the human side, like from the logic side, I followed the process. They said no, and so I'm making a decision on, like, it doesn't change my schedule. It just changes my priorities. Yeah. So if I have something come up where I can make the same money going over here doing coaching or working with an organization to help whatever, and have a future return on that investment, then that's what I'm going to prioritize now. But I mean, like I said, I've had some players that have offered me mushrooms because they're like, oh, have you tried microdosing? So there's so many different things going on out there. And I told them that I appreciate your concern, and no, because I don't even want to know what that's like, that having never done that.
My wife.
I've heard their magic, to be fair. I've heard their magic.
My wife recommends, and this won't show up on it, but a lion's mane coffee. That's what she recommends. She's into that. It's fucking expensive, but
yeah, but and like I said, I do the coaching. I have people that have certain things that basically what I'm trying to tell them is, look, I went through all these. I have all this documentation that shows that this is warranted. If I didn't get approved, you're not going to get approved. And like I said, that now puts them in a position of, okay, well, do I just keep taking it and hope for the best? Because realistically in the US, you're probably not going to get tested right now. I don't know if it's just cost prohibitive or what, or they just don't care enough, but odds are you're not going to get tested. So then that limits them from coming over here. And there's just a lot to it. But like I said, I feel like you said, if I'm open about it, then and it doesn't embarrass me. There's a lot of people that it still embarrasses them to even say that they have an issue. Whereas me, I just want to figure out why I'm empty inside, but I don't mean that in a sad, depressive way, but yeah, I don't know if it helps somebody else, then cool, but it's not helping me a whole lot right now. So,
mate, it's important, mate. It's important to share, because at the end of the day, this is someone who's had multiple mental health issues over the years, more than I care to talk about myself, to be honest. Blokes as a whole, men as a whole, are not very good at being able to share openly. It's just not in our nature to do so. So for you to come out and talk about your experience, and as you say, if that helps one other person, then your job is done in that sense. Look, we here at OD have always got a lot of time for you, and will always be cheering you on, whatever tournaments or however you coach and all that sort of stuff throughout your career, because you are one of darts' good guys. There are a lot of good guys in darts, but you're one of the very good ones. So you've always got a place here to open and talk about your experiences, mate. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But it's also like, well, I'm just a dart player. Like, I don't feel I happen to be decent at it, and maybe not so much the last couple years, but I never had anybody to kind of help work me through that stuff myself. And like I said, maybe it's because I'm mildly autistic that I don't know any better, that it's not normal to just be open about that stuff. But I don't know, like even something like when outside of darts, like it's no offense, like I like you guys are cool, but if I never saw you guys ever again after today, I wouldn't even think twice about it. Like I told people, my wife, I knew she was the one because she is the first person in my entire life that I kind of wanted to like see again after I haven't seen her in a while. Like, but I just don't have, I thought everybody else was weird. Like, why are they getting upset over that? Why are they getting upset over that? Why are they laughing? Why are they crying in this movie scene? And then it just turns out I'm the weirdo. But
no, in all fairness, Alex, I have that same feeling every single week. I could deal with not having to see these two fuckers again, but I still have to do it every week. So
I think I remember a friend of mine. So I think Alex that you, I think the way that you often perhaps feel is maybe not as, I don't think you're as alone in the world as you may sometimes feel. And,
absolutely.
I do remember, and it's a very short story to share, but it's a sentence. But one of my best mates and I, we think a great deal alike, which is probably why we've ended up spending so much time together. And because we have an awful lot of similar outlooks on the world. And I won't go into detail. We were once at a funeral, and it was a particularly challenging one. And we were stood at the bar having a beer, and my mate turned to me and he looked at everybody else and he said, "Must be awful to feel stuff, mustn't it?" And I looked around the room and I went, Christ, yeah, it'd be fucking horrible, wouldn't it? Should we have another beer?
It's weird. All my emotions is right here. Like if I play a really poor match, I feel nothing from the neck down, but I just make this face. And it's just like a thought in the head. Like there's, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I don't mind being like that. I don't look, the way I see other people reacting to certain situations, I kind of like being non-reactive.
No, I get it, mate. I do. I get it 100%. It's important to keep sharing it, because that way then it becomes more easier for other people to do so.
And I mostly say this as a joke, but when we start getting into, okay, well, what exactly do we want to consider performance enhancing? Because I wear contacts, so maybe Ryan Searle because I hear that Ryan Searle doesn't drink that much either, if at all. So if he's not drinking and he's also blind as a bat while he plays, he might be like an authentic, clean player on the planet. Just saying.
Trust me, I know there are some darts people. I know there are some players who definitely drink way more than Ryan Searle does, and probably see less than he does after a fair few drinks. But we will save that story for another time.
Yeah.
So again, I love this story. So what's the next step then? Can you appeal to anyone? Because I know you say you might not want to go down that going to be a pro and get a card.
Right.
However, we know the ability is there. We know that you can go and perform to those levels. So is there a way of appealing this? What's the next step to get down that ladder?
I don't think there's an appeal, because at this point I've gotten a denial, and then I've gotten a temporary approval, and then a denial and a temporary approval. I've gone through it so many times that now that I've gone through my own personal guide plus a PDPA guide, it seems pretty final. Now part of the TISM or whatever it is that I got, I'm also one of those people where if something doesn't interest me, I can't dive into it. I tell people, like, my interest in darts for the first 2 years was after COVID was like, okay, you downloaded that new phone on your game and oh my God, I'm playing it obsessively, literally 24/7. But then a couple of days later, you're just like, all right, I'm good. And then, like, you might play it every so often. But so for me, 2 years ago, I needed to prove to myself and everybody else what I could do. And then I and we saw that the drop off was very sudden. I played really well at Worlds. I went through the first phase of Q school. I think I averaged 99.8, if I'm not mistaken. And then from that point to about now, I just haven't had it, at least not consistently. And I think it's just because I felt satisfied. I accomplished the things I wanted to do. And now I needed to find something else in the sport. So I do a lot of the coaching. I don't really advertise it. My idea is if I start with a few people and I do a good job, then they'll tell people, and then they'll tell people. So every week I've got people, and I literally.
Here's a question, actually, just off the back of that. Sorry, Darren, are you going to come in? Talking about coaching in darts, because it is a wider point now. Obviously, we've seen Wayne Mardle do it. We've seen Glenn Durrant now doing it. We've seen other people starting to do it. Do you think that more players, certainly on the professional level, should take up that advantage of having coaches? Because it is such an individual game, but it feels that if players are feeling that they're doing something wrong, but they can't change it because they can't feel like they can't admit that they're going wrong. Does that make sense?
So we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, but obviously you have to be coachable to do it, to make those changes. For me, like the process that I teach people is something I came up with in COVID, and I didn't care what was right or wrong. I just wanted to know the process, like this, almost the science behind why does dart work. It's literally just rocket science. It's angles and propulsion and whatever. Yeah. So I'm like, if I could build a robot that could hold a dart a specific way, throw it at a specific angle at a specific speed, it would always hit the same mark on the board. Why can't I figure that out? So like my coaching is a little bit different. I've had some people that have worked with, like, say, Daniel Poole and some other people. I don't see myself as better or worse, but just complementary, supplementary, whatever. I try to make people think about it the way an engineer does, or like I dumb it down to be like a chef. Okay, so there's 3 phases. There's figuring out your recipe. Maybe you want to put some onion in the dish, but do I want red onion? Do I want white onion? Do I want Vidalia onion? Whatever. Once you figure out your recipe of what works, maybe it's a certain wrist angle, a certain grip, whatever. Okay, now that you have your recipe, now you have the second phase, which is just discipline. Follow the damn recipe. Then the third phase is, now you've done the recipe so many times, you can just run in the kitchen, make the dish real quick, and it comes out perfect. But when it doesn't, you're not overthinking anything. You just taste it and know, oh, I didn't put enough sugar. I didn't put enough this or whatever. So we're not overthinking, we're understanding. So I can give the same talk to 5 people and they can apply it 5 different ways. So that way I'm not telling them what to do. I'm teaching them how to think. And approach it their own way. So it's just a little bit it's a 2-hour set. The first session with me, it's the same talk for every single person. And then after that, it's what do you want to work on, and we'll focus on. We'll think outside the box. It's like the whole Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. I will find ways to help you understand, like a musician. When people think that, okay, well, if I break down my throw too much, I'm overthinking, and I'm like, but a musician doesn't learn an entire piece of music all at once. I see guitars behind you, Dan. But, if I'm learning a piece of music, I'll break it up into little sections. The parts that I've kind of already mastered or I'm good at, I don't spend as much time as those as I do with the things that I struggle with. But once I master that, then I put it all together. So when I practice, I don't play 101 or 170 and 121. I just only focus on what I'm physically doing. And then if I can physically repeat what I'm doing, then I just play matches and that's it. But so I like I said, I have a slightly different approach. On my YouTube channel, I have Anubis Academy, the basics. It's literally basically the first 2 hours of my coaching. If people want to see more of my philosophy behind, I don't even mean that as a plug. I just mean if you're interested in how I approach the game a little bit different, it's out there.
People should look at it, mate. People should look at it. Simple as 100%.
Yeah, you've answered remarkably the question I was going to ask, and what I often see is people that go into coaching darts, or there are a lot of people that I speak to are coaching darts. They tend to be one of two types of coaching that they deliver, and it tends to either be that they're doing like really, really sort of tight analysis of a player, like sort of one-on-one, looking in depth at a throw, at every little element of the way that the dart is gripped and the way the wrist breaks and everything else. And then there's another darts coaching, I think is using that word, which is you've got like 40 people in a room and we call it an academy and they're all younger, and some of that is brilliant, and I love it because I think it brings more young people into darts, and that's what I really want to see more of. But I think that darts coaches seem to fall into one of those two categories almost, big room of under 18s or what I would call like a real technical coach.
Right. And I guess I'm more about, I don't, I was like philosophical coach, technical coach, whatever it is, like I said, because I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I want them to think a certain way. So then after the first 2 hours, it's like, okay, if you start a new job, it doesn't matter if you've been in business for 20 years, you still go through some level of orientation so that everybody's on the same page on how we're going to attack the issues. Well, okay, if I have 200 people that have worked in coaching with me, they can now all work together and spit ideas back and forth because they all got the same exact base information. But when they come back to me and say, okay, I tried this, I tried that, I don't then give them more things to try. I ask them questions. I never give them answers. I ask, okay, when you were playing and this wasn't working, how did it feel? How did that feel? What was the result when you did it right? Did it work? When you did it right, did it not work? How did it feel? Like there's a lot of, like, there was that tracing, that throw analysis where it shows the repetition. And what it showed is a lot of people that suck at darts are still repetitious. It's just whatever they're doing repetitiously is not actually working for them. But what I can't see, like, I don't do throw analysis unless it's really important to a person, because okay, everyone can see when I do this, like, and that's my throw. Like, you don't need me to tell you you're doing that. But what I can't see is, where are you tense? Where are you not tense? Are you tensing up from the start? From is the grip, is the dart slipping as you move forward? I can't see those things on camera, so I'm not worried about how your throw looks. I'm worried about all the other stuff. Plus, if we're changing a lot in your throw, what you're doing right now doesn't really matter to me that much anyway. But I give them the ability to, hopefully that 2 hour session, I hope I never see them again because they got enough out of it to where they can figure stuff out on their own.
And are you doing all of the? Are you doing them just exclude, like, face to face? Have you done it with people around the world? What's the?
I not too many people over in England. I've done a couple people, but mostly just over in the States. It's all virtual, like, because my style is, it's not like we're pool players where I'm like lining you up and like, all right, do this. Yeah. Because it's all mostly, like I said, the philosophical side of and the science behind it. We don't need to be in person. Like, yes, there are some issues that I need to see. I had a guy he told me, oh, I'm left eye dominant, but it's weird because I'm only left eye dominant in darts. But when I was growing up and I'd shoot guns or something. I was always right. And I was like, okay, well, how long ago has it been since you did that stuff? And it's okay, it's been 20 years. And so I was like, all right, well, line up with your left eye, and he's here. And then I say, line up with your right eye, and he just like leans his head up. And I'm like, no, close your left eye, line up with your right eye, now open it, now throw. And he's like, oh my God, that's so much more comfortable. So I need him to get familiar with I'm big on reference points. So like when I tell people, okay, if you're going to throw a dart, like I want to, if I'm not sure what my grip is like, I want to hold like a ball or something that already feels really good to hold in my hand. Everyone gives the advice of hold a pen or a pencil, and it's stupid. Like I'm going to borrow Phil's pen here.
I
like,
want in your hand all the time.
Like I told him earlier, I was like, if I went to any idiot on the street and I said, all right, here's a pen, I want you to throw it down the road. They're not going to hold it like a dart. They're going to hold it kind of at the base and then just chuck it. So I'm a front gripper. Why? Because if I was going to throw this pen down the road, that's what feels most comfortable, is to hold it like that. But if I have a ball, that's my reference point. This is what feels really good in my hand. So now I need to figure out, well, why does it feel good? Okay, I like the weight sitting right in my fingers. What is my fingers doing? Okay, it's pad of the thumb, the pad of the, like, I want to know why things feel good and then apply it to the dart. It makes sense. I don't need to go through 2 hours.
No, it's deeply interesting. And my wife's she's not going to be a big fan of you, Alex, because in about an hour and 10 minutes time, I'm going to be throwing tennis balls at a dartboard.
But you say that, but I had a guy that, okay, I'm to the left and I'm to the right, and I'm up top and I'm down below. And so I told him, I was like, I know this sounds really stupid, but were you ever a kid and you laid on your back and you just threw a ball straight up in the air? It's the same motion. You throw the ball. If you let go of it right and you throw it straight, it goes straight up, it comes straight down. I just need him to be familiar with the feeling of throwing in a straight line and going. And if he can get comfortable, now he has a reference point. So when he throws, he knows when he does it right. Like if I just say, okay, I want you to follow through, and someone does this, and you're like, yeah, that looks good. But for all I know, it feels jerky and janky, and I can't see that on camera. I was telling him earlier, a lot of things that people don't consider is your actual physiology. So, if I'm saying that, like, okay, your hand wants to move on the edge or it wants to slap somebody here. So if I'm here, but the dartboard is a little bit off center, I'm fighting my body wants to go this way instead of this way or whatever it is. So if you're lining up the fat part of this thumb right with the target, it's so much easier to follow through it. There's so many different parts to it. But again, it's focusing on the physiology and the actual science behind it rather than just be like, hold your dart this way and just follow through and you'll be great. Which is a lot of what I see out there.
So you're in the same camp as Gary Anderson about influencers?
Not necessarily. I mean, no, not necessarily, because, and again, it was something we discussed earlier. You could get great advice from someone who's a terrible player themselves, and you don't really trust it because, well, if you knew what you were talking about, wouldn't you be better? But then you could also get terrible advice from someone like let's say Littler. Let's say Littler gives someone advice, but it's terrible advice because Littler already says, I don't really practice. So maybe he's just trying to articulate, this is what I think I do. So here's some advice. And then that person goes and uses it and it's bad advice. They're still going to trust it because, well, it came from Littler. He's obviously amazing. So
I know what Gary's view is. And like Gary's been very strong on his view. But the only thing that I always like to just throw in the air is, and I know it's not particularly, like, he hasn't really crossed the Atlantic over into America. I'd just say, well, Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho was a garbage footballer. He's on his best day. On his best day, he should never have been close to professional football. He's dreadful. Arguably the greatest coach that's ever existed, potentially. And there are and I think, I get a lot of guys' view because there are hundreds of people. Like, I would never dream of, I mean, everyone knows how much I hate the short form socials, but the idea of me or someone even close to my level of talent doing a video showing people what they should be doing on the dartboard, it's embarrassing. You
can very easily tell who knows what they're talking about and who doesn't by just asking the question why. Because if like I told him, if you're teaching physics and you're just parroting outside the book, okay, it sounds like you know what you're talking, but the second the student says, well, why, and you can't explain it, then now you can tell the difference between someone just rambling and saying words to make it versus. So like my 2-hour video is basically out there. So some people said, well, why would you put that out there for free? People might take it and steal it, blah. And I'm like, yeah, but the second someone tries to dive a little bit deeper in that, they're going to have no clue what the context is and why we're actually discussing.
They haven't got you to,
right.
Color in.
But even the people listening, if all you can learn is just how to ask why. Okay, I'm missing left. Why? Okay, maybe I'm throwing across my body, but people stop right there. Okay, I'm throwing across my body. I need to throw straight. But if you can figure out, okay, ask why again. Why am I throwing across my body? Then you figure out that it's because you're eye dominant. Maybe it doesn't matter. If you keep asking why, you'll eventually find the root cause and you'll actually fix the problem rather than putting a Band-Aid on it like everybody seems to do. But that's all I'm teaching people to do is how to find information. I took what I did in IT and I just applied it to darts. I was not the smartest guy in IT, but I knew how to ask the right questions and I could always find the right answers. Pretty much it.
Love that. Niall Cullerton is in. How are we doing? The werewolf. Hope you are good.
Hello, mate.
Lindsay, new member. Thank you very much for joining the OD Club. Massively appreciate that. Thank you so much. I tell you, this is fascinating talk. I love it so much. MSG on the horizon. Obviously, we know you're missing the upcoming CDC cross-border because you're unfortunately at Modus. So the next big one for you is MSG, not too far away. Looking forward to going back?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know because so with the whole DRA situation, when it was up in the air, you always felt like, okay, if I felt like I was an emergency, it's there. It's like walking through a really bad neighborhood. I joked with my wife. It's like if I was walking through the ghetto, at least I had my GAT on me just in case. I'm probably never going to have to use it, but just knowing it's there is good. But now knowing that it's pretty final, that okay, well now that it's a different feel. So I'm going to be testing out some different Medicaid as a just in case, and because now I'm thinking about that instead of the potential matches, that kind of sucks. So no, I'm not looking forward to MSG yet. But I will. When it's there, it's going to be fun. I hope I draw Littler, actually. I know you asked Gerwyn Price because if I get Littler and I lose, if I get Littler, at best, I'm up 4-0 on him. And at worst, if I lose, I'm still 3-1 up.
One of the rare people in darts that does have a winning record against
Lou Littler. Yeah.
And I want to point out that, obviously I say this mostly in jest because obviously we all know the quality he is. But at the same time, some people are like, yeah, but that was 3 years ago. He was 16. I have to remind people, just a couple months later, he made a world championship final. So he wasn't exactly a scrub at the time.
He never did anything, did he? From what I remember, was you beat him.
How did he get there?
Yeah, you beat him in submission, I think, didn't you?
Stealing a spot. I mean.
You beat him in submission, mate. Like you've never heard from him since. He's just become a jobber.
It's because he was a kid at the time. Now that he's an adult, I have a history of being a child abuser in darts. The younger you are, the more I swear to God, the younger I have multiple. It's almost okay. I would never actually do this, but I've played multiple kids where I'll play them in a race to 6, and I'll shoot 107 on them. And I'll make them stand next to the Dart Connect thing with a sad face, and I'll take a picture. And I thought it'd be funny. I have like a wall of shame, but that would look really weird out of context. Kids come in, people just come into my dart room and they just see a bunch of sad kids on the wall. So I'm not going to do that.
Don't put out on the fortune advertisements. Don't.
No.
We've spoken about this a lot with obviously Peter and Anthony. I'll pick your brains on this. Are we close, or should we be thinking, or not us, but the PDC, the winner of the CDC tour getting a tour card automatically?
I've been saying that for a while, just because if you look at the quality, like the actual, it's not like our winners shooting high 70s. Like we're consistently shooting high 80s, mid 90s. I have the most 100+ averages, not to brag, on the CDC tour, but I've also had the most losses shooting 100. Like 100 doesn't even win matches anymore. Twice Jim Long's got me 6-5 and I shot over 100. Lobby lost with over 100. I think Doug Baines lost with over 100. It's happening more regularly. I think we've proven that we have more than enough quality to justify that now. And even if you look at the guys that have come over here, Gates did really well when he came over, not just for Modus, but also the seniors tour. Jeff Smith has made a World Series finals at MSG. I've had my little runs of success. Did I win the World Championships? No, but I still put up a 95, 96, which is good, I think. You could go through the list. Stowe Muntz making a quarterfinals of the Grand Slam. Like it's just everyone that tries to talk down on North American darts just doesn't pay attention to what our guys are actually doing, and that's what's visible. When we talk about the stuff that's not visible, I swear I'm not saying this stuff to kind of like brag on myself or like someone like Stowe, but like right before the World Championships, Stowe and I met up with Rob Cross and Scott Williams to play sets to get ready. I beat Scott Williams 6-1. Cross beat me 2-3, which I'll take, but both those guys made the semifinals of the World Championships at that event. So like we have the ability, and through that proven, even if you take away the stuff that isn't visible, I just don't see how you can't see us as worthy of that spot. I get we get the second phase guaranteed now, but it's just we get 5-6 players in the World Championships now. They're seeing our value. So a guy like Savata belongs. He wants to be there, and he belongs, and he belongs as a tour. I can't talk right now. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm trying to think and talk at the same time. There's just so many things running through my head.
I was quite pleased that you referenced it's any excuse for me, but that you referenced a world semi-final there. And
right.
that's the board. That's the semi-final board signed with Williams, Cross, Humphreys, and Littler.
Nice. Yeah, I played.
Any chance I get to show that board off is perfect. So thank you for that, Alex. I get to show off the artifacts that I have.
Look, there's a TikTok video. Because again, sometimes I go like stuff because it's fun. That's calling me the most overrated darts player. But it's funny because maybe with the Littler bloom and stuff like that, there's a lot of new guys that weren't. Not that I'm like super popular over here, but look, I played all those 4 guys that signed that board. I played all 4 of them that year. I lost 6-2 to Humphreys at MSG. We didn't play good. I beat Littler 4-0, 4-2, and 4-3 at Modus. I beat Scott Williams 6-1 to sets in our practice session, and I lost 2-3 to sets and Rob Cross. I like that record against the top 4 guys in the world, in that tournament. Yeah. And that's just me.
Basically,
I'm not even talking about Stowe and Savata and Gates and Jeff Smith and Matt Campbell and Dave Cameron and all these other guys that I can just Jim Long. I can just keep going.
So basically, what needs to happen next is that Dan Simpson needs to get you to sign that board, Alex, because clearly you were the reason why all 4 of them got into the semi-final.
Humphreys beat me at MSG, and he goes on and wins the World Championship. Peter Wright the next year beats me at MSG, and within like a couple weeks, he won a Euro Tour. So I'm kind of that catalyst, like, oh my God, I can't believe I beat Spellman, and then they get so confident in themselves.
Alex Spellman, the greatest practice partner in the history of darts.
That is what it is, clearly. Absolutely.
There's a little side quest. You just hire yourself out as a practice partner. Look at that repertoire. Look at what people I've practiced with have gone on to do.
Exactly. It's not that I'm coaching them. They just feel blessed that I'm even speaking to them.
Love it. Love it.
Would you ever come back and have a go at Q School again?
Oh, well, I'm a competitive person. Yes. So like I said, it's not that it changes my schedule. It just changes my priorities. So if I have other stuff going on, and I have a lot going on the non-playing side right now, including the CDC guys working with some other things I can't speak towards yet, but that's my priority now. But I'm a competitive person, so you never know if I pop, even if it's just maybe to open up Challenge Tour and stuff again. I played for years without medication. It's just that there's a certain level of energy it takes to play through that, and I'll be honest, like I just don't have. Just exhausted, like I don't have the energy to do that right now. But that doesn't mean that I don't get a second wind, and I get the right person saying that I'm terrible, and I just show up to just prove them wrong, and then you know, sometimes you just need that little chip on the shoulder to kind of push you through. So I'm not saying never, but I'm just saying right now I don't have that interest. So we'll see.
Interesting. Let's talk some more darts. The European Tour this weekend. A lot of interesting points on it. First of all, let's talk about Nathan Aspinall ditching Mr. Brightside. And it worked, boys. It worked.
He has said for a long time. I mean, I think Nathan said, been pretty honest, hasn't he, that he has always wanted Eminem as his walkout. That's what he's always wanted for a long time. But is it? And you'll be able to tell us, Phil. And I've been busy knocking my house to bits, so I'm a bit out the loop this week.
I thought you were going to say something else then. You busy knocking, and then I just assumed that you were going to say something else then.
Well, we've been off work, haven't we?
Well, yeah, obviously. Well, we'll have a look.
Easter holidays. Cool. It's a long bank holiday weekend. So
yeah, you know, it's one of those times.
Is it? We see lots of players that have their walk-on song, and they have their Euro Tour walk-on song. And is it, as Nathan designated this as his Euro Tour song, or are we to expect this next time we see him on the telly? Philip, you must be in the know.
I don't know is the honest answer, because look, Mr. Brightside is synonymous with Nathan, and it gets the crowd on their feet. But Eminem worked at the weekend. It just worked, and the crowd was singing it back. A bit of Lose Yourself. I think it's a bit of a crossroads, but I suppose the dilemma is, if he gives Mr. Brightside up, someone's going to shoehorn in and take it.
Nah, he won't give it up, will he? Let's be honest about it. Lose Yourself is a banger. Don't get me wrong, but we saw it for a while, didn't we, with Willie O'Connor? You know, on the Euro Tour, he was allowed Zombie for years, whereas on the Pro Tour, you know, on the television, he wasn't allowed it because, well, for obvious reasons. You know, we've seen it before. I mean, Cross wants high voltage back, doesn't he? He wants Electric 6.
Well, he did at one point. Yeah, I don't know if he still does now, but he did at one point.
There, so you know, but he had to play. He had to use Hot 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 instead. Look, someone will nick it if he does, but I don't think he'll lose it, because he even said himself. Like, there was a few people who said himself, like that he was the chance of a walk-on pick last year in the Premier League, because everybody wants to hear Mr. Brightside. You know, weirdly enough, actually, on Radio X this weekend, they had the best of British top 500. Oh, no, sorry. What was it? No, Hits Radio. They had the top 300 songs of the noughties, and number 2 was Mr. Brightside. That's where we are. So I don't see giving up. But going to the action on the Yoki, he was sensational on Monday afternoon and evening. He was unplayable. Like, he was brilliant. Danny Noppert did really well. Yeah. As well, getting to a final. Hopefully, at some point, he will get a Euro Tour title. I don't see how he doesn't this year, because I think he's playing too well. Big run. Kevin Dukes, there it is. Finally getting to an ET semi-final. Neil Zonneveld, another huge run for him. You know, Andrew Gilding, Goldfinger, back on a Euro Tour quarter final. Here we go.
Winding back just ever so slightly, like, so Zonneveld is a player that I have genuinely been fascinated watching this year, because there are very, very few people. Like, let's take the Premier League away. There are few players that have had as good a 2026 as Neil Zonneveld. You know, all of a sudden, we have started to, like, we've normalized, like, the Euro Tour. He's done 2 semi-finals and a quarter-final in a row. And at the same time as that, like, we've seen him making huge progress in Players' Championship events. Like, when does these stop being deep runs, and when does this just become that's the level that Neil Zonneveld is at? Because the progress we've seen from him has been monstrous, but it doesn't look like letting up, does it? I just think do we just think he's reached, you know, that's the level he plays at now, and he competes at that high level, and that's who he is? Or is it a spell, do we think? What do you reckon?
I think it's more than a spell. but there was a joke to be made there, obviously, with our guest, but I'm not going to do that. Look, the big thing here is that like he's second on the Pro Tour Order of Merit for qualification for the match play. That's longer than a spell. Yes, Wessel Nyman is out farther in front than I don't think I've ever seen. But the second now, after another run in the quarterfinal, Neil Zonneveld, 75 Gs. Like he's going to Blackpool. Like he's an outstanding 12 months. So I don't think it is a spell. I think it is the level he's at. Like on the Pro Tours, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Like in particular. But yeah, no, but I think it's such a big. Did he? Shiki asked Aspinall if he could have his walk on. That's superb. That.
Here's an interesting one, and I'm interested from a player's point of view as well, Alex. The first 2 days of the European Tour this week, I'm not going to lie, were fucking shit. The standard was awful.
Yeah, it was bobbins, wasn't it? Like absolute bobbins.
It was awful. Now, look, I appreciate players can have a bad day, and it may just have been one of those ones where they've all had a bad weekend together. However,
tell us how you really feel, by the way, Philip. Tell us how you really feel. Don't sit on the fence,
I think
mate.
every session overran. The first 2 days, I think every session overran. One of them by nearly 35 minutes. It was that poor.
Yeah, filth. Horrible.
So,
shite.
So, look, could they have all had a bad weekend at once? Yeah, and that may happen. However, there was also a lot of quality missing from this tournament. Means the top seeds couldn't be bothered. Bad Easter off. The next ones get bumped up. And then the reservists come in.
Some of them were off wearing Dan Simpson and Phil Barr's masks. That's why they weren't there.
So that's fine. But what I'm saying is when the top boys pull out, and as many of them, if it's one or two, it doesn't show as much. But when as many as this have pulled out, does that show the gap in quality? And as a player, would you notice the gap in quality if, like say on the CDC tour, if 6 or 7 of the big boys weren't there? Would you notice it?
Oh yeah. I mean, because if the top 8 guys, say on the CDC, are 90 average, and everybody else is say sitting in the mid 80s, low 80s, even that's still noticeable. But it's less that, and it's the big legs. It's okay. I'm averaging 90s, but you're going to have that bunce or that Savata that has that leg where they're 180, 140, 180, whatever. They're just hitting those big legs. But if you're just not doing that consistently, okay, one leg, that's fine, but then you're just kind of drudging through the rest of it. Like it's noticeable. Like I wanted to be, unfortunately, I didn't know that finals week for Modus was going to be next week, but I was super disappointed, not for myself to play at the cross border, but as one of the higher end players, not being able to be there to help beef up, they just moved it to Canada, Newfoundland. It's supposed to be amazing. I want to be there to support the event as a player. Not just, but I get it. The guys over here have the luxury of skipping because there's a lot more high-end players, and we don't have that over there. But at least not yet. But it's definitely noticeable. But it's noticeable from a supporter and fan perspective, but it's also noticeable from a player perspective, because now if half the field is out of there, those other guys know that it's basically all for the taking.
It's interesting, boys, because there was a lot of people winning with high 70s average, low 80s average, but the Euro Tour has always been like the best tour in world sport. But it was really noticeable this weekend that it was a long way off the pace.
Let's be honest, though, PB. Let's have it right. The Euro Tour's magic and mystique when they put the top 16 in everything. Let's have it right. Right. The mystique of the Euro Tour, the wonderfulness of the Euro Tour was that we were getting players that would who would be at the top of the Pro Tour Order of Merit, and we're getting games that we don't normally see, getting more qualifiers in. That was the mystique of the European Tour, and it's changed now. I'm not saying it's not still brilliant, and all the rest of it, but the qualification process for it has fucked it beyond belief.
Well,
Simple as.
I generally agree with you. And I think that view would stand up, though, if they all fucking went there. But if 50% of it, so you can say, oh, well, it spoiled it because, these 16 people automatically qualify.
Yeah, but
if 8 of them then don't go, you're still getting, like we saw this week, a complete mashup of all sorts of different people who are making it into different long routes. And, we're seeing some upsets for early doors. And, I get this, and I don't agree. Like, I'm not someone that subscribes to this, remotely sensible thing of having the top 16 automatically. I think it's silly. However, the blow is softened by the fact that they don't go. Like, if they were the top 16 automatically qualifying's crap, and it would be crap if they went, but they don't. So.
I don't know. Sorry, go on, Alex. You're going to jump in there.
There's a couple of different perspectives. Like me, I don't care if it's kind of a shit show, depending on who's actually participating. So, like in Modus, we have David Manua. So let's say, obviously he won his first round at Worlds, but that's a match where even if he's absolutely terrible and doesn't win that first match, it's interesting to see a guy I've never seen before, even if he's terrible. Sometimes we see that in the Bahrain Masters, where obviously everybody, shits all over these guys, but those people wouldn't do any better, to be honest. But it's interesting to see. Okay, and they take that one leg off of Littler or Humphreys or something like that, and the crowd loves it. It's fun. So yeah. I don't mind it. I guess it only gets bad when it's every match like that. Sometimes you want to see, you want to see a fire there.
But the thing is, as well, is that, but this comes back to the point that yes, the PDC don't want the top boys at the Pro Tours. We've talked about this on multiple occasions, but I don't think the PDC give a shit whether the top boys goes to the European tours either. The only thing that matters to them is their ranking money, right? And the thing is that what they want is they want them to be fresh for the big TV tournaments and for the World Series of Darts when they spread the gospel. That's what the PDC want. Now, for me at least, anyway. No, it's all right, love. Go on. For me at least, anyway, you need to have the top boys playing in your big TV tournaments like they used to, but then don't have as much darts, don't have as much ranking, non-ranking exhibition darts. But then again, though, I also see the point for the affiliate tours from like yourself, Alex, whereby getting the opportunity to play the Littlers, the Humphreys, the Van Gerwyns, the Prices of the world gives you that that exposure on a global stage for players as well.
Yeah. And I was literally about to say that because over here on the Euro Tour, I imagine that they get to see these guys a whole lot more than say we do in North America. So in North America,
absolutely right,
we want the top 8 guys. I know it's harder for us to win, but we don't get rolled over. Cross lost last year, Bunting lost last year. Michael Smith, I don't think ever won a match at MSG. So, you're sending your best 8 over, and we're actually doing okay with it. I know I lost, but I lost 6-5 to Peter Wright. So we're being competitive. It's cool. If you send the guys ranked 9 through 16, that's fine, but it just doesn't feel the same because we don't get that. We just don't get them over here like the rest of the Europeans get.
Dave makes a good point. Our great friend, American Dave, he is now American Dave in the chat room, when he says, yeah, it is American Dave, is a realistic path for the Euro Tour to ever become televised so it can reduce speed for really attract the big names to play. Well, it technically is televised, isn't it? It technically is on TV elsewhere in the country.
Oh, look, yeah, it's televised in Germany. Not sure the Netherlands, but definitely Germany.
Austria and Switzerland as well, isn't it?
The other bit as well, when we spoke to Matt Porter in Minehead, he said they had floated the European tour to some UK broadcasters, but no one had taken it yet. Whether there's I don't know what fees they're asking or whatever, but there is scope to have it televised in the UK. It used to be when Viaplay had a UK channel, it was televised then. It was on Viaplay then. I think they bought out Premier Sport
I can't hear you, mate, because my internet's decided it wants to play up.
That's all right.
So I feel great.
No, I just wonder where. Look, there's another Euro Tour coming up as well in Graz, where there's a lot of the big boys missing. So I'm interested to see if it's the same kind of standards we saw in Munich, or if it was just a one-off.
Well,
but this week was tough.
Well, let me just go back to now. My internet seems to have had it's less of a wobble now, so I can hear you actually rather than being robotic. Here's the big thing: is that it's perfect where the Euro Tour is perfect for Sky Sports Plus or HBO Max in this country, in the United Kingdom. It's absolutely perfect. It's easy content for you to just push out there. You don't even have to produce it. You're barely given a rights fee. Sky in particular.
Disagree.
You've got the rest of the darts. Oh,
disagree 100%.
Dude.
Red button.
Why? Why now?
Because it should be on the red button.
No, I agree with that. That's fine. I ain't got an issue with
it. Shouldn't be again. I think it. So my view is purely and simply right. Is that the Euro Tour? It's already filmed, produced. It exists, it is pushed out down a pipe to somebody to just put on their platform.
Yeah.
That has got to be. I also think it's got to be the cheapest asset to buy the rights for in terms of any PDC event. Like I can't think of anything that would come in cheaper.
The Pro Tours.
So
Pro Tours maybe.
Why wouldn't the national broadcaster that takes money out of my pocket, your pocket, everyone else's pocket every single month that we've got to pay for? But why shouldn't the national broadcaster look to get? I know you roll your eyes because it's bullshit and it's fantasy. But if the world worked properly, they would be looking at it. Somebody in BBC Sport will be saying, it's the fastest growing sport in the country. It's Sky Sports' second most watched sports behind football. That is the cheapest product that they sell that we could stick on our platform that's purpose built for this sort of thing. Red button, off you go. Like for me, it's a complete no-brainer, and it's exactly what the national broadcaster should be looking to do: is look at fast-growing sports, promote. And I tell you now, mate, if it goes on to the red button, if it's on BBC Sport, it does proper numbers because they have the ability to push that because they are the people, like we've said, in terms of what ITV never did, right? Is you've got 30 seconds on Match of the Day to mention that you're showing this on the red button tomorrow. Like you've got that other sports content that you can push that with. Like I think it's the best solution all round. And I mean for the fact that I'm getting fucking taxed to pay for it as well because it's the national broadcaster.
But you know that the national broadcaster can't afford to do that. That's the first thing. And secondly, I don't disagree with
they've got.
Yeah, but they're still going to want a decent chunk of change for it. I think Premier at the time were talking tens of millions for the Euro Tour when they had it. So it's not like, Sky or ITV, but it's still a decent chunk of change of taxpayers' money that they're going to have to justify. I don't disagree with you and say that the BBC Sport website.
They're making fucking Mrs. Brown's Boys. Like,
but it's a fair point.
Absolute shite. Like,
it's a fair point.
And also, like, they're the national broadcaster. They have from Parliament, right? They have a directive from Parliament to produce content to appeal to everybody. I fucking hate Mrs. Brown's Boys. I think it's shit.
But people like it. But people like it, dude.
Like, people like bang it. Bang, we call this like garbage.
What?
That's BBC comedy that I won't watch. Like, but again, other people think it's good. They tax us. And they tax us to produce content that appeals to everyone. That's why we still get classical music on Radio 3 and we get afternoon plays on Radio 4 because you've got to produce content for everyone. What are they making?
But the thing is, fans? Yeah, but the thing is that the PDC don't want to be on the beep. That's the first thing. The PDC don't want to be on the beef because of the sponsorship sort of things they've got to deal with, and also the links to gambling.
If they're paying enough money, they'll put it wherever they want.
Yeah.
Barry's not going to turn.
No, but also, right? Do you think
They
that
were
the
happy to put
PDC?
snooker there for long enough, weren't they?
They still are, but do you think that the PDC would want the Pro Tour and the Euro Tour on the BBC Sport website and app? No, because they want to be, in particular, they want people to sign up to PDC TV because they want to make money themselves. It ain't an issue. Let them do it.
If someone offers enough money, they'll put it.
Also, they just pop it on Sky Sports Plus, and do that at the front of the home screen on Sky Q or whatever on Now or something like that. People can watch it through there. It's no issue. And also Sky are the host broadcasters anyway for the major tournaments. Just stick it on there. Happy days. Anyway, Aspinall did well, didn't he?
So you're
saying
work into this now.
Right. So I just whizzing back again. We better talk. We're supposed to talk about darts, aren't we? Aspinall did do very well, and he played very well. What do you reckon? Because I'm not sure. Like, I'm genuinely not sure what the rest. Because I think the Players' Championship Finals was an anomaly. Like, if you look at the last 18 months for Nathan Aspinall. If you quarterfinals, let's say 12 months, the Players' Championship Final was an anomaly. What happens now?
Yeah,
like what's the next? What happens between now?
He's got to go and make a final, isn't he? He's got to go make a final either at Blackpool. He's got to go make a final at the World Grand Prix. He's got to go and do something.
Because he's not. Because do you think? Because I tell you what, he's going to have to drag himself through. Like, so he's at the minute he's seeded 14th for the match play. That is not a good spot. Like, that is seeded 14th is not a good spot to be in Blackpool. Like, he's got hard yards to put in. He really has. If he's going to drag himself back up those rankings, I don't know.
But he's defending. But he's defending. Fuck all. He's defending 121 G's. That's all he's defending.
He's defending fuck all because he spent too long playing shit.
Yeah, but then you have a good. If he has a good year,
I'm defending fucking nothing because I'm shit at darts. It doesn't mean I'm going to go and start winning things. Like, doesn't mean.
No, but he's had a good start to the year already. Like, I mean, let me just go through his. Let's just
he's already up to provisional world number 11 on the tour card race, and between him in 11th and Johnny Clayton in 4th. It's one run on TV. It's 100k, which is one run on TV between 11th and 4th, which is nothing in the current climate.
Here's one for you. He's defending 23.8% this year. He's already on his ranking got 13.4% of his ranking, and we're not even in the middle of fucking May. We're not even in the middle of fucking April. Like, he'll be re his old earth, lad. He'll be re. I think. And the big thing is that if he goes on for another decent run on telly, like, yeah, you're right, he hasn't made a decent run on telly bar the Players' Championship Finals for a couple of years. But if he goes and makes a decent run at the match play, happy days. Happy days. Happy days all round. One I want to shout out, by the way, who's got himself back into match play qualification. Well, two actually. Goldfinger and the bully boy. Michael Smith had a very, very good run this weekend and has put himself. Look, I'm not saying like he needs to start looking at hotels yet. Well, obviously he wouldn't do because he only lives about an hour down the road. But what, he's on now 33 grand. He's only 10 grand off one Pro Tour runaway from having a trip to Blackpool again.
How concerned? So I flipped over there when. Just because I agree, like they've put themselves within spitting distance, but a player that is not, let's say within tumbling distance of perhaps falling out of that qualification spot for the match play is Damon Heta, and I can't imagine.
And Canny and Damon
Yeah,
both worrying at the moment.
but the reason why I focus on that, Phil, fairly or unfairly, is if we'd have sat here 2 years ago, 18 months ago, a year ago, and we'd have said Cam Menzies hasn't qualified for the match play, I'd have went, yeah, like, he'd probably be about 50-50. As a player, I think he'll probably hover around the top 32. He might get in some years, he might not. Damon Heta, like, we were talking about Damon Heta for the Premier League a lot. Very recently.
Yeah.
We were talking about Damon Heta as a Premier League player. We had this talk constantly as being like the next player who hasn't won something to win something. Who's the next player to win their first major? And Damon Heta was a name that constantly circled. And we're in a situation now where we're saying, not sure if he'll make the match play. Like, we were talking years ago about how deep he can go. Now we're not sure he'll get there. I think it's got to be alarm bells.
No, I'm not. I don't disagree with you, but I do need to mention Cammy, because that reaction to the game against Sedlerbox, yes, he was shit, and like he admits that himself, but that reaction, man, I don't know if he needs to go and see. Actually, Jude needs to go and see some help, because it wasn't. Yes, there's that reaction of the fact that yes, you played crap, and yes, you should have done better. But I don't know whether there's some sort of other bits involved in that, potentially, because it didn't look great at the end. It really didn't.
Well, I think it's tough to repair, and I know you spoke about Cammy earlier in that sense at the World Championship. But
Yes. Yeah.
Mentally, it's a tough thing to come through, isn't it? Something like that. Obviously, I know you're not planning on it, but if you're suffering mentally and then that happens in front of the world, it's a tough thing to come back from.
Well, it's embarrassing, obviously, because it's now a very, very public thing. And for me, like it's not even like, let's say I had an episode let's say I play MSG and I have an episode. I'm not actually worried about having an episode or whatever. What I'm worried about is the endless loops. Like, you guys, I don't know if you guys saw the loop or saw the video of the guy falling off the stage at our DPFL event in August.
No, I didn't.
But he was just he took a shot and was just kind of had his head down and just walks literally just right off the stage, accidentally. But it's like just the loop of that being so public is already bad enough. On top of what you're dealing with internally and stuff is just so. For me, my biggest stress is not what's actually happening, but what could happen. For Cam, maybe it's now that it did happen in like such a public thing, maybe that almost makes it easier to deal with afterwards. It's just out there, people see it, and then you still got plenty of people that don't show it very well, or not show it very well. But what I mean is, like, they're not showing what they have going on inside until it kind of boils over. But I don't know, maybe they gotta. It's like that thing, you say something out loud, it makes you feel better. Maybe some people have to have that very public moment to have their moment to sort it out.
Yeah, no,
yeah. Sorry, I was just going to jump on a player that who was it? It was Warren who said it, by the way. Moving on to a more positive note, Kim Hybrecht's third round performance this weekend put himself 750 quid away. Let's be honest about it. I wouldn't have said that at the start of the back end of last year. No chance. But Kim's played some good stuff.
He's found something again.
I think everyone that keeps saying, like, and we hear it a lot, and it's the casual fans that just watch exhibitions. And when I say exhibitions, I mean the ones that are on a Thursday night. Yeah, the ones on a Thursday night on Sky. But like, and they moan that darts is becoming repetitive, and we're seeing the same. Like, if you start now and you start to watch darts between like sort of 10th in the world, maybe through to about 50th, like, darts is absolutely electric. Like, there are people moving through the ranks that, first of all, we never thought would get there. Second of all, the sort of the unknowns, the Zonnevelds, that all of a sudden they just keep turning up and winning games. And then we've got, like, we've also got people that were there and are now coming back. That like the Hybrechts of the world that we thought maybe were.
Yeah.
I didn't think
Joe
we'd see
Cullen.
Hybrechts. I didn't think we'd see. But I mean, Joe Cullen, I always felt I'd see him again in Blackpool. I didn't think I'd see Kim Hybrechts again in Blackpool. I genuinely didn't. And it's starting to look like we will. And just to sort of put the tin out on it, like, for an extra bit, we've got those players that are unfortunately heading in the wrong direction down the order of merit. I know that some of them might have dragged a bit back, but that we've got the Damon Hetters and the Rob Crosses and the Michael Smiths and the Peter Wrights and the player Joe Cullen in that as well. Players that we all thought would just sit comfortably in the top 16 for years, and they'd come out the top 16 when they retired. But those players are now struggling to qualify for events, and it's like if you come outside of the top 10. Like, darts is amazing at the minute. There's loads going on, loads happening all the time.
But don't you see that with like if I go to a concert, like, so I'm a Metallica fanboy, right? But if I keep going to the same show, or if I go to the show, it's going to be the same songs. It's going to be Enter Sandman. It's going to be Master Puppet. It's whatever. But then I go to another show. Guess what? It's going to be Enter Sandman. And it gets repetitive. But that's because it's a new market. It's a different thing. It's a different night. So yeah, we're seeing it on TV, but the people in person want to see those guys up on stage. If you want to see the rest of the field, watch everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what? Actually, I forgot to do this at the start of the program. I need to give a massive shout out to the OG, the GOAT, that is Mr. Dave Clark. Worked with him at the weekend at an event for Cure Parkinson's. Walking football event. He was absolutely outstanding, a joy to be around. And more to the point, he said that exactly the same as you then just did, Alex, that he sees a benefit for players and for people in the crowd. And we've said it for a while, haven't we? We see the benefit for people who only get to see darts once a year coming into their hometown to see the top 8 in the world. Whereas people who are watching this for 17 weeks, week in, week out, it gets very repetitive. Because I mentioned it to him about the fact that when MVG drew Littler at the match play a couple of years ago, it was the first time they were ever going to meet in a ranking game on television. That would have been hyped for no day, for no time on end. It would have been all over everything. But because we'd seen that matchup, it felt like 37,000 times in the Premier League, it felt less special. But for people in the venue, it probably didn't, because they were there. But yes, Warren, he is very well. Said, of course, how much he's missed. And he was an absolute joy to be around at the weekend. So well done to everybody at the Cure Parkinson's event at St. George's Park. And massive pleasure to meet one of my broadcasting heroes.
I will point out, though, that when it's not a repetitive same thing, then you got guys like this guy complaining that all the matchups are shit.
Yeah, because that's him, isn't it? Because he just, all he wants to do is interview Littler every single week.
Yeah.
Oh, Gary.
Gary.
Yeah, Gary should be in every song. It would be nice to see Gary play some darts again.
Do we need to do Premier League predictions?
We do, yeah.
With 10 minutes to go, Christ.
Right, before we go into predictions, we're going to Brighton.
Oh.
Right, I know.
You might be.
Brighton. Yeah, you can if you like, but I won't be there.
Correct.
But on a serious note, before we go into predictions, are we worried yet? Am I worried about Luke? Humphreys, this is obviously. Because I am. I'm starting to get worried. I don't think he makes the playoffs if he continues playing like this.
I think
He still has averaged 100 last week. Can we get some context?
But Stephen Bunting averaged 100. Stephen Bunting was averaging 102 at one point, and he got no points. But we were saying that averages don't matter. Averages are only a guide. There's only one point that matters.
Yeah, but
Luke's only made one final this year. That's it.
I look at the table. He's only 2 points off fourth. So am I worried yet? No.
But the way he's playing, though, Chief,
Yeah,
the way he's playing in the Premier League.
but if you look what's above him, look, the top three are there. The top three are going to the O2.
Oh no, I agree that it's MVG, Gian, Luke, and Stephen Bunting playing for one spot, which is great, isn't it? Going into night 10 of the Premier League, it's fucking fantastic. What a tournament!
I still think there's two slots there. I still think there's two slots.
You think Clayton's not there?
I look at and it sounds absurd. I know how absurd it sounds. I know how silly it sounds.
Correct, it does.
But he just came out so fast, and I think the fixtures are like. I'm not convinced. I think Luke Humphries. We could do predictions in a minute. I think Luke Humphries does him this week. I think then he's got to play Van Gerwyn. I'm not sure.
In Rotterdam as well. Sheesh.
I'm not sure, you know. And what I worry, and I shouldn't for Johnny because he's like, you know, he's played. This is his tournament, isn't it? But I do just think if it was in previous years where we thought it's going to come down to who gets to a quarter final, but this year I think, well, Gian could win a night and Humphries can win a night. Both of those two players could win two nights. Like if you said, you know, if we said between now and the end of the tournament, Luke Humphries can win two nights, no one's laughing yet. No one's laughing at you saying the more daft thing to say.
No, but like, yeah,
and
of course he can, but you know,
but those things take, you know, and those things happening takes Johnny out.
I still think Clayton's there, man. He'll pick up 5 more points. Yeah, well, absolutely.
Alex, you think Clayton makes it?
Somebody has to provide it. We can't all agree, so one of us has to.
Well, we can
carry the cross.
We do it most weeks. We do it most weeks.
Yes, but you also know what happens if we all agree that Clayton's through. You know exactly what then.
Oh yeah, I suppose. Yeah,
Johnny Clayton sent back to West Wales, didn't he?
I was just going to say that I don't really watch much of the Premier League because it's a bit repetitive for me.
Yes.
That's not completely untrue, but it's just I've been so busy with other stuff. I literally haven't watched a single night of the Premier League. So just to be different, I think it's going to be Rock's night.
Oh,
I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
And you know what? It's because there's something about Rock that I like, because 2 years ago when I was playing my bet, he just seemed that I don't know. There was something about him. I always wanted to play him. He seemed like he had scoring power that I wanted to just go back and forth with him. I don't have that now, but he still does. Sorry, I don't have that right now consistently. But I don't know. I want to see him do well.
Right. Let's do this then. The quarterfinals in Brighton are Luke Humphries against Johnny Clayton, Gerwyn Price against Josh Rock, Luke Littler takes on Stephen Bunting, and Michael van Gerwen takes on Gian van Veen at the Brighton Centre on the South Coast. What are we saying?
Premier League, the shittest venue on the Premier League calendar. Let's have
it. No, second, but we've gone out of the frying pan into the fire. That's like it's the second worst venue.
But in terms of venue, in terms of the fact, in terms of the crowd numbers, it's shite. It's awful. Don't even bother. Don't even bother.
The MEN is toilet, but this isn't a great deal better. But Luke Humphries beats Johnny. I am manifesting chaos. Like we're gonna have it. Luke Humphries beats Johnny Clayton 6-2, averaging 103.
Clayton wins 6-4.
Boring.
We go for Alex.
I'll take Humphries. I got to give a score. I'll do 6-2.
I'm going Luke Humphries 6-5. Then Gerwyn Price against Josh Rock.
I really want Josh Rock to be able to build on back-to-back weeks of quarter-final wins. And I think if he was playing anyone other than Gezi Price, I might pick him. But I can't because Gezi's playing too well. So Gezi wins 6-3.
I mean, I want to moonwalk some, but life's a shithouse. Price wins this and he wins this 6-1.
Well, we know you're going rock. But what's the scoreline?
Oh no, I'm going Price because I'm going to completely jinx my pick.
Hey, well done.
Yeah,
Well
he knows,
played.
he knows how this works. Good man.
I know who I want to win, but that's different than who I think will win.
How we do this? How we play this game?
I'll go Price 6-5.
Price 6-2. Littler bunting. Is it a bunting or is it a Littler?
Littler wins 6-2. Move on. Boring, but move on.
What he said.
Is it a hat trick?
I'll go Littler 6-1.
Oh, battery.
Oh yes,
I still think he's gone rogue. He's probably more likely than we are to be fair.
He wants to see Van Veen in the second round. He's not going to play around.
That's what I was going for as well.
Yep.
I'm going rogue.
No, you're not.
What?
I'm going Stephen Bunting.
Are you high?
6-4.
Right, Alex, take whatever drink is in front of him
Right.
and pour it away.
Alex, has he been on the Colombian marching powder tonight?
Well, mine's clear. Mine's water. His is not clear.
Mine's pineapple
Who
juice.
knows? Yeah, who
Yeah,
knows?
but has he been on the Colombian marching powder throughout this show?
I mean,
Oh dear.
I'm just manifesting chaos. I think the
Yeah, but there's manifesting chaos, and then there's being a fucking idiot.
I think the crowd will give him some shit.
As Phil Barr's
Yeah,
got
but-
a TUE for whatever he's drinking.
And then the final one is the old Dutch affair. It is Michael van Gerwyn taking on Jan van Veen.
Jan van Veen will not be able to resist the opportunity to go straight back on stage with Luke Littler after last week and will win 6. Oh, do you know what? Goes all the way, 6-5.
As much as I want that, MVG wins, and I think it's 6-4.
God, you have picked the most boring picks ever this week.
I know. I'm sorry.
6-3 Van Veen.
I mean, you'll get them all right, but it's fucking boring, isn't it?
It is boring, but I want to be right. I'd rather be good than lucky.
Rather be right than interesting.
Yes, absolutely correct.
I'm going 6-3 Van Gerwyn.
Shock.
Now, from your selections, who wins in Brighton and who do they beat in the final?
Michael van Gerwen beats Luke Littler in the semi-final, and he plays Gerwyn Price, and Gerwyn Price wins and goes top of the pile, and he wins 6-3.
How strange. Right.
Is that because you agree with me, or is that because you think I'm stupid?
Yeah, I think well, it's just not as chaotic as I would have hoped. It's one from 2 for me. I'll tell you who's going to meet in the final because it's how we manifest chaos best. The final's going to be Luke Humphries and Jan van Veen, and it will be won by Luke Humphries. Luke Humphries beats Jan in the final.
We're going for Alex.
well, since I know I picked Price to beat Rock, and that's going to screw everything up, I'm going to pick Price because, well, if he's going to beat the eventual winner in the first round, Price over. I'll say Price over Littler 6-4.
I'm going Gerwyn Price to win the night as well, and I think he beat MVG in the final.
Can you stop? Can you stop agreeing with me? Because that means that there's no way that happened.
Yeah, sorry, Gazzy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just quickly contact my bookmaker once the show's over.
And fucking lay that immediately. Anyway, who cares? Who cares anyway? It's Augusta week. That's all that matters. Let's fucking go.
Everyone, I tell you, this 2 hours has absolutely flown by. One of the quickest shows I think I've ever sat on. Thank you so much to our guest here in the studio, Mr. Alex Spellman, joining us for the last 2 hours. It has been an unbelievable show. This will be available as an audio only in the morning from all good podcast providers, or you can watch it back as well here on YouTube. We have interviews dropping tomorrow with Michael van Gerwen and Vincent van der Voort. So stay tuned for them. 17 minutes of Vincent. You know it's going to be good.
This could be chaos. Love it. By the way, go Rambo and Fleetwood this week. Let's go.
And then obviously the Fallout Bar returns on Thursday. There are rumours that Dan Simpson may make an appearance if his hamstring holds up. He's got a
it's me. It's me. I've got a fitness test.
You know, mate, you know what, right? It's my show.
Fitness test.
It's my show, and what I might do this year is I think I'm going to make it all the way to finals night and fucking come out there.
No, I'm hosting this week. Actually, I'm hosting this week. So
I might hop on for a chat with you if you're hosting.
Go on then.
Either way, Fallout Bar is here, and I promise at some point during the Premier League you will see Dan Simpson on a Fallout Bar.
Dan Simpson will at some point.
When that is going to be.
I'll have to watch a game of darts at some point. Don't forget as well, if you do, if you're a fan of the show and you want to get some merchandise, if you want a Dan Simpson or Phil Barr's mask, contact Luke Littler. Like Luke Littler, yes. I assume that it's his next commercial endeavor. He's got the Target deal. He's got the dartboards and the darts. He's now selling Phil Barr's and Dan Simpson masks, I think.
It's how he rolls. It's what happens here.
He needs to make the big bucks.
But I say thank you so much for joining us over the last feels like a week. We have been live pretty much every day. But I've been Phil Bars, Alex Spellman, Jarlath Beaton, and Dan Simpson. This is us signing out for another week. Back on Monday next week, as per usual. We've been Online Darts. We'll see you all very, very soon.
Going in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, Jarlath. Thanks for being in the Barney Army.